All right, super-centex over easy. Chad coming to us from places unknown, West Texas. Michael,
Actually, I'm about this is a special edition of the podcast because I'm about a mile from where they're having game day right now. I can hear the echoes of it.
nice, nice. All right, well, let us know if Pat McAfee rips his shirt off or something. So, um, dude. Chad, I look like Crawford uh had a lead and then Rosebud-Lott came back, right?
Yeah, well, they led 15-3 at the half. Rosebud-Lott won the second half, but Crawford got enough first downs. It was a game where first downs were as important as points in some ways. Um, I was kind of had the feeling I wished it was one of those nights where I had a photographer there and I could just do play by play because a lot of the little plays were really important. A lot of Jackson Huey first down throws, and different, I think in my lead I put a 7-yard run clinched it for Crawford in the fourth quarter at a time when it really looked like Rosebud-Lott, if they got the one last chance, might win the thing.
Hmm. We asked the
So
question the other day, could either or both of these teams make a run? What's your assessment now?
yeah, I last night felt like a playoff game. The intensity was high. Rosebud-Lott was hurting after the loss. They really wanted to win that one. And Coach Hicks said, we lost the game to Bosqueville and then we won five in a row. Why can't we do the same thing now? Well, an easy answer to that is that he doesn't get to play Riesel or Bruce Folletti in the playoffs. But I hear what he's saying.
Gotcha. Well, Michael, let's start with your Thursday night game.
Okay.
Back up a few days.
Yep.
And it was your first look at the Midway Panthers.
Mhm.
Mr. Wissington's pretty good, isn't he?
He's we've talked about Evan Moreno being the best running back in the area. I think he's still in that conversation. He's right there, but how can you not say it's Lathan Wissington? I mean, that guy's unbelievable. Averaged over 15 yards a carry. And, the thing about him, and this is probably no surprise to anyone who's been around him, but he always credits his O-line. I mean, he's big on that. I mean, he kind of said it himself. Like he said, I think all four of my touchdowns, I was untouched. And sure, that's kind of a credit to him. He's fast, he kind of breaks through, but guys, I mean, he was running pretty clean all night.
I've
And
said it repeatedly that Midway's offensive line is a big strength for that team,
huge strength.
and when those guys credit those guys, I mean it's not just they're not blowing smoke. I mean they're good.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I will say I should have asked coach about this, but JFV I think he only had one carry on the game, so I think they were trying to minimize the workload on him. I mean, the one carry was in the second half. He didn't even take a carry in the first half. And so I
Okay,
asked
so I
late.
rode to Lubbock with the Midway. Yeah, I rode to Lubbock with a Midway football player last night, so I got a little bit inside scoop on that.
Yeah.
He rolled his ankle, but not too bad, and he should be good to go for bye district.
I heard it was an ankle thing, but I didn't want to say that offhand. So okay, that sounds good. But I asked Lathan, I said, like, was there like a different intensity you had to bring, like knowing that you were going to take more carries? And he was like, nah, same old, same old. But I will say, in terms of how the game played out, Copper's Cove kind of took a Crawford approach to this game in terms of like we're not gonna throw the ball hardly ever. I think they only threw it maybe once on their first like 19 snaps. And it was like, we're going to run the ball as much as we can and go on these long drives and keep the ball out of Midway's hands. And it worked for a while. It was 14-14 at one point in this game. Now, here's where Gillespie said the game was won. Um, Copper's Cove scored to make it 14-14 with about 4 minutes left in the first half. Midway gets the ball back, and Gillespie said, we have to score here because not only does that put them up 21-14 going into the half, but this is kind of a Tom Brady New England Patriots move. You score right before the half, get the ball back in the third quarter and score again, and all of a sudden it's 28-14. And that's exactly what Midway did. And the thing about this Copper's Cove team, as tough as they are, they're pretty sound on both sides of the ball. It's not a team built to play from behind. It's just not. They're going to be running the ball. They were running the ball until the end. Like they're just not a team that's equipped to spin it around and play up tempo. So once Midway got that 28-14 lead, the wheels kind of fell off for Cove and Chad. I'm sure you saw it similarly. And it was a pretty complete game for Midway, and I think it's good momentum going into the playoffs.
Yeah, you get walks
I thought
ahead.
you made an excellent point in your story that, yeah. I thought Michael made an excellent point in his story when he wrote that once Wissington gets into the secondary, the defense is in trouble.
Yeah, oh yeah. When he
Dude,
gets to the second level, like so early in his career, I mean, I've seen him his whole career. Uh he would not always do that. He would sometimes, like, he loves contact so much.
he
He loves
does.
banging off guys and running over guys and stuff. But as he's gotten older, as he's matured as a running back, um, he's not afraid still of that contact. But like once he gets to that second level, he's like, okay, beeline, see ya, you
Yeah.
know. Um,
Um,
and yeah, he's really good at that.
and so he had a 93-yard touchdown that kind of like broke Copper's Cove's back because this was kind of another game-changing play. Copper's Cove actually could have made it, I think, a two-score game in the second half. They got all the way down to like the 5 or the 7 yard line. Well, they fumble at the 2. Midway gets it. And then I think 2 plays later, Wissington breaks off this 93-yard touchdown. And I mean, again, this is kind of why I wrote that lead. I mean, once he got to where the linebackers were, he's already going over 18 miles an hour probably, and you can't stop him. He's just too fast. And I asked coach after the game, I was like, you've seen some college guys that could move. I was like, was he? I mean, he was probably going over 20 miles an hour, right? He said, I think so. I mean, he was moving. So. Yeah, I mean he's a real weapon, and they've got Waxahachie at home for the third straight year, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's certainly not an easy task. But I'll tell you what, I was talking to some Midway folks on the sideline, and they were like, "These guys have if the guys could have picked a matchup, this is the one they wanted."
Well, here's what I'll say. Like you said, 3 straight years. Every one of those games has been at Panther Stadium. They've been two very different games to this
Hmm.
point. The one 2 years ago, Midway just should have won it. I mean, they should have
Yeah,
won it. They missed a couple extra points. They lost by a point. So there you
yeah,
go. Last year, Waxahachie boat raced them. I mean,
yeah.
and here's what I'll say. I think Midway, this is the best team of these last three by far of
Agreed.
Midway. I still think Waxahachie may be pretty freaking good too, though. So
Yeah,
we'll break
I will
that
say
one.
it's probably the best Midway team, and knock on wood, the healthiest too, because I think
Yes,
Midway was really banged up last year in that
they were.
matchup.
They were
Yeah,
absolutely. They were all
It,
season. That was a
it's going
problem.
to be a great game.
it will be.
I think it's going to be a great game. Uh, my lack of Wi-Fi seems to be slowing us down a little bit, so I'm going to duck out. But before I do, I want to give a shout out to the Moody Bearcats for winning
Yeah,
last night, finishing the regular season 6-4, third place in that district. It looked like the Clifton Cubs won I got an upset win over Brady, I think.
they
That was
did.
a big
They
win for
did.
them, and Hamilton won its district championship showdown. So,
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. All right.
All
Y'all
right.
guys have a good rest of the podcast. I'm gonna go see if I can see the outskirts of game day.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks,
All right.
Chad.
Uh, all right. Well, so Chad's not going to hear my rant, but I'm going to rant just a little bit. All right.
Let's hear it. Let's
And
hear
I'm
it.
I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to pick on anyone. Um, but I'm just going to provide a little definition of what an outright district championship is.
Yes, please.
Because there are some coaches out there who are a little confused about it. It's happened more than just this year, but they know more about football than I do. I know a little bit about the English language. Okay, so um, outright, first of all, it's one word. Sometimes you see it uses two words. It's not. It's one word. Um, You can use the words out and right in
Correct.
2 words, but all right. And if you were to Google it or look it up in the dictionary, the dictionary definition is completely, altogether. You might say all by yourself. Uh,
Hmm.
and so the only way you can be an outright district championship is if you have the best record in the district and nobody else has that same record. That is the only way. You don't have to have an undefeated record. You could be an outright district champion with a loss. Uh,
Correct.
but if you're, as long as you're the only one with that loss. I say all that to say this: University, not the outright district champion. There's been some stuff out there that they were. No, they're not. If they'd have won last night, yeah,
They would have been. They would have
yeah,
been. Yeah.
absolutely. Uh, are they the 1 seed? Yes,
Yeah.
they are the 1 seed. That's different. Seeding is different,
Correct.
but outright district champion, they have the same record as Brenham. So Brenham
Hmm.
can claim a share of the district title. And you could say,
Yep.
if you're university, you could say, well, we beat Brenham. Well, guess what? They beat Elson. You didn't.
Yep.
I mean,
Correct.
we can do this circular reasoning. But
Hmm.
anyway, that's my little rant. Whitney, this will be a good segue, is an
Sure.
outright district champion. They went 5-0 in their district. Obviously, by definition, nobody else matched them because they beat everyone. And all right, so let me just go into the Whitney game now. First of all, and I should have checked on this. I thought the game started at 7:30. That's what we had. I made a little stop by the check stop beforehand. Had all that nice traffic up 35. Thought I still had plenty of time. Um, and parking lot was pretty full. Um, and as I'm getting out of the vehicle, I hear announcing, and I'm like, what? And so
Yeah.
yeah, I walking in. This is how fast Whitney scored.
Oh
Um,
boy.
as Whitney is scoring its second touchdown of the game.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and this was just minutes into the first quarter. So it's right off the bat, 14-0. And you're like, dead gum. So, I get settled and get all, going. And that's why I didn't have stats in my story, because I didn't feel like I could have complete stats, not seeing every
Hmm.
play. But West comes back, they answer, they get a couple touchdowns. It's 14-14. Here's what I'll say. Kobe Haynes, he's just
Man,
special. He's just
he's so
special.
good.
Yeah, like he had 4 touchdown passes, 2 touchdown runs. So he had a hand in all of Whitney's touchdowns. It was 41-28. Every time West would answer, and they had some good answers. Like West had some really nice plays. They had one drive where they went 96 yards in 2 plays. Aiden Rideout broke one for 70. Whitney ran him down, and then they scored on the next play. So, boom, boom. Um, and there were moments that West defense was really flying around and making plays. But you give Kobe Haynes enough chances and he's going to make a play. And it doesn't matter. I think he's just one of those guys because, you watch him and I don't think quarterback is his natural position.
No, it's not.
Um,
But he's such an athlete,
but
Bryce.
he's
Like,
such an athlete. He made some really good throws.
yeah.
Um, there were some that were off too. But you could say that about Dub Crane. Like,
Hmm.
he just makes plays, and the biggest one came right in the let's see. It came in the fourth quarter. So West scores with like just under 4 minutes to go to pull back within a touchdown, 35-28. They try an onside kick. Whitney recovers. And 2 plays later, Kobe Haynes, boom, 52-yard touchdown run. And it's just like that takes the air out of West. I mean, they tried to still drive down and score again, but yeah, he's special. It was fun talking to him and to David Jr. after the game. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I love those guys, man. Those guys are great.
They're fun. David Jr. was all wet because they'd soaked him twice with the bucket. And first of all, he gave out a big time shout out to all the other guys on the team. Like he was like, everybody wants to talk about how we got Jonte Johnson and Kobe Haynes.
Mm-hmm.
He said, but we've got some dudes on this team, and he started shouting.
He really does.
Out. Yeah, he started shouting some of them out, and they do. But Kobe was really special last night, and I said, yeah, I hear that. Like, but obviously Kobe, like it seemed like whenever you needed a big play, he made it. And he was laughing, and he was like, we got a little thing in our family where I tell him all the time that he's the least favorite kid. I have, David Jr.
That's right. Yep.
He said, I have a 4-year-old daughter, Delilah, and I'm always telling Kobe that he's the least favorite kid. He said, tonight he might be the most. He said, tomorrow it's going to go back to Delilah.
Right.
And she was running around, and at one point she was jumping on the ice that had been thrown on the ground. And she was having a great time. But
what a scene.
Yeah, it was a scene. I do think West has a good football team. They'll play Pilot Point in Bi District. I don't know a ton about Pilot Point other than they're 8-2. Second seed out of that district. But if West
is going to be a tough 3 seed.
If West can clean some things out,
that's a tough team to play.
Yeah, but and then obviously Whitney certainly has the capability of making a run. Certainly.
Yeah. Well, so I wrote about it in the week leading up, but like the versatility of that Whitney team jumps out to me, and it's crazy. I haven't even seen them this year yet, and I'm still, but like just keeping up with the stats and hearing from what you and Chad have said about them, and when Chad and I drove to the Midway game on Thursday, he made a good point because we started talking like who could maybe be super-centex player of the year. And I mean, we didn't talk about Kobe Haynes at the midway point of the year, but like, dude, I mean, how could you not throw him into that conversation?
He's got to be in the conversation. There's no question.
I mean, I think so. Whenever I broke down his stats in the preview capsule, I think he has over going into this West game, he had over 700 yards passing, rushing, and receiving. Like, that's just ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. And I'm sure he's
one of the lines I said in my story was, wherever you put him, he's going to make a play. Like, he's just a football player. And to me, one of the funniest moments of the night was after that 52-yard touchdown run that iced it. He missed his first PAT of the night. And you could tell the dude was gassed. And I said in my story, cut him some slack. How many kickers are sprinting for touchdowns right before they kick the ball? He also did Whitney's punting, and he had a couple of punts that were not real pretty. And then he had one that the drive where West goes 96 yards in 2 plays. So he pinned him at the 4 with a punt that rolled out of bounds perfectly. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, he's just capable of making plays. That's the thing.
Good for him.
He is a playmaker.
Good for the Whitney Wildcats. I think that's their first outright championship since 2019. So
nice.
Good for them.
All right. University is going into the playoffs as a co-district champion, as a district champion. We can just say district champion. But obviously a little disappointing last night, wasn't it, to go down to Ellison and not close it out?
Yeah. I talked to Nicholas Hiddell with the Brenham Banner Press last week whenever University beat the brakes off Brenham. And, he was going back and forth from the field to the press box because he was actually shooting photos too. And once he got settled for a second and University was already up big at this point, I just went over to him and I was like, "Is Brenham missing guys?" Because everyone was confused. Not that University is this bad team and shouldn't be winning, but it just the whole vibe around the game was strange. And he was like, "No, University's just kicking their butts." And that exact same sentiment was kind of carried over into this one from Ellison's standpoint. Although for the Trojans, I think you could argue this game was lost in the first 6 minutes of the game. When it's all said and done, that's kind of the easy way to look at this game. Could University have made it interesting after this? Yes. So where this game was probably lost, this was just the worst start you could ever have in a football game, I think. Um, so I can't remember if University won the toss or lost the toss. Anyway, they have to kick off first. So Ellison receives the opening kick. Um, there was a late hit out of bounds on that return that set up Ellison with a short field. So it's already like, okay, here we go. Then I think in 2 plays, they score a 43-yard touchdown where so Ellison has a UTSA commit wide receiver, Prince Hall, who's pretty good, 3-star wide receiver. He just burns a DB on this like post corner route. He's wide open for a 43-yard touchdown. And this was, I mean, I think maybe less than a minute into the game. So they're already up 7-0. Now, University gets the ball back. And on the very first offensive snap, Savoy Nichols makes a nice little run. I think he gains about 20 yards or so. And there's a couple of Ellison defenders like poking their hand in at the ball, but he's able to kind of tuck the ball away from him. And he gets by like these two guys who were kind of punching at it. And he gets a little bit of running room and he just like, he loses it. He starts like bobbling it and the ball comes out. And then Ellison jumps on it, takes over. So that was the first offensive snap for University fumble right after you give up, opening score on the other end. Then, uh, Ellison scores again on that very next drive. University's defense looked a little lost in that first quarter. So Ellison's up 14-0 in the blink of an eye. And it's like, man, okay, they've got all the momentum. University needs to kind of get into this game a little bit. Well, on the ensuing kickoff, Bryce, the Trojans fumble near midfield. They don't even get their offense on the field. They fumble the ball. I don't remember who it was that fumbled, but so you're like, wow, this is crazy. Okay. Well, when everything looked bad in that moment, you're like, maybe the defense can get a stop. Fortunately for University, the defense does. A holding call kind of helped set Ellison up with like a third and forever. They get to fourth and forever. It's kind of near midfield. They punt teams come on. And do you remember that La Vega Robinson doink I told you about that helped La Vega win? Well, this play wasn't exactly like that. It was a little different, but the Ellison punter, I don't know his name, he punts it. It's a terrible punt. It goes like straight up in the air, just straight up a million miles in
Right.
the sky.
Kobe had one like
And
that.
yeah, and it maybe cleared the line of scrimmage by 4 or 5 yards. It was just straight up in the air. Well, there's like two University players that are just kind of like looking back at their punt returner on the long side of the field, and they're like no, they're just kind of not paying attention or they don't know where the ball is, and the ball comes straight down and like hits one of them in the leg, hits one of the University players in the head. They're like they don't even know what's happening. It hits them, and
How
of
how
course there's
often are you expecting the punt to go
right.
straight up? You know,
Yeah, I think they had already turned around and was waiting for to see what their block assignment was or something. I don't know. So it hits the University player, and fortunately for Ellison, there's a player kind of right there, and he notices and he jumps on it. Ellison takes over, and on the very next play, their little sophomore quarterback for Ellison hit Keandre Sales for a 48-yard score. He just completely burned one of University's DBs on a go route. And so here's like the easiest way to sum up that start. So Ellison took a 21-0 lead just over 6 minutes into that game. University had only taken one offensive snap. I mean, again,
that's
if you dig yourself that kind of hole, How, I mean, you're
hard
asking to lose.
hard to come out of.
And
Yeah.
I'm not trying to beat the kids up or whatever. It's just it was a horrible start. And Coach Foster, that's what he said. He was like, when you get down 21 nothing, like that's shooting yourself in the foot. And some of it was penalty induced, some of it was just lack of defensive execution, some of it was just costly mistakes.
And
And
it takes a lot out of you emotionally because you're fired up, you're ready to play football, and then all these things work against you, and suddenly
mhm,
you have this big hole to climb out of, and
mhm.
sometimes teams are able to to climb out of that, but like I said, I mean, I just feel like a lot of times it can just weigh on you and take a lot of the air out of you.
Yeah, and I mean, again, was the game fully over at that point? No. I mean, University was still trying to chip away and make something happen. I guess the best chance for University to get back into it was it had a decent drive late in the first half where if they would have gotten a touchdown, it would have been great for them. But they had to settle for a field goal. I think it was like a 20-yarder, and it wasn't blocked or anything. It was just a bad kick. It didn't go anywhere. And so they go into it would have made it a 14-point game going into the break, which with them receiving the opening kick, you could make a case, okay, if they
And little
score,
little things like that. I mean, that's not a little thing. I mean, it's 3 points, but
yeah, it
those kind
matters.
of things they do matter because um, like you feel better when you go into halftime and you've done something good right before the half ends, and like you said, then you get the ball first, and now you're like,
Hmm.
okay, we're just a couple plays away, like
Yeah,
uh, so yeah, a lot of times, I mean, football's a very emotional game, and
it is.
when you get weird bounces and things go, when you get beat on a play and things don't go your way, like it can take the emotions out of you quickly. uh,
Hmm.
I
So,
I mean, what's your thought on, obviously University is the one seed out of the district.
yeah.
Uh, think they can kind of bounce back and try to get rolling again.
I think so. I did have some Trojans folks texting me during the game like, "What's going on? Like, like why is this happening?" And a few of them were like, this is a terrible way to go into the playoffs. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I hear you on that. It's certainly not momentum, in fact it's the opposite of whatever that is. And but here's what I'll say. And Coach Foster kind of agreed with me when I brought this point up because, obviously he was not pleased with, the lack of execution from their standpoint in this game. They wanted to win. It's not like they threw in the towel, and we're just cool with the one seed. They wanted that outright district championship, I promise you. They were playing their guys. But here's what I'll say. This team has shown this season it can respond. I mean, this is a team, if you remember, just a few weeks ago, they were 2-3 after non-district play. I mean, we didn't really know what to expect from this university team. It was kind of the same old, in a lot of ways, penalties. I mean, like if you go back to that Shoemaker game, that
Mm-hmm.
was one of the sloppiest second halves I've seen. And Shoemaker is very, very good. I'm not trying to say University was expected to win that game, but University was in that game and had chances to win. They just completely fell apart in the second half. So my point is they ripped off 4 straight wins after that, including a pretty nice comeback against Belton, and they beat the brakes off Brenham, which I think is still a pretty good football team. Are they the sixth best team in 5A D2? Probably not. I think that's probably true, but that's still a good football team that University completely overwhelmed. So I think I mentioned this after last week's After Dark. If University, and I mean it's a big if, but if University can play as clean and as feisty as it did against Brenham, like that's a very, very dangerous team that could make it to the third round of the playoffs, I think. But man, if they continue to shoot themselves in the foot and just not really show up and execute like they did last night, they may not get out of the, bye district round because I mentioned in my story, but they'll either host Texas City or Fort Bend Marshall. Now, Fort Bend Marshall, I mean, as we are recording this, it's 9:45. Fort Bend Marshall plays the worst team in that district at 11. And if Fort Bend Marshall wins, it would come down to a coin flip between them and Texas City for that 3 and 4 seed. And you know, University might. I mean, that's a tough task either way. I know Fort Bend Marshall isn't the Fort Bend Marshall of last year that kind of steamrolled University in the playoffs, but man, I'll tell you what, that's they're going to have to clean things up if they want a chance against either of those teams.
Speaking of coin flips, did you see the video of
I
the
saw that. I know exactly where you're going. I saw you kind of smile, and I was like, I think he's going to bring this up.
yes, like
It was awesome.
so awesome. I mean, it's just I say it's awesome. We're not those coaches in that high pressure
True.
situation where your lives depend on a flip of a coin, but yeah, it's crazy. If you want to check it out, check out my X feed. I retweeted a video of three West Texas coaches flipping a coin for a playoff spot. Very Friday Night's Lights ish.
Mhm. And they like all like met at a neutral like
Yep.
gas station.
Well, in Friday Night Lights, I mean, and the reporter's comment was Friday Night Lights wasn't a movie; it was a documentary. Well,
I think there's
guess
truth to
what? It
that
was a
there.
book first,
Well,
and
yeah.
it was all true. Like this stuff happened,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
the coin flip happened at back then at an undisclosed location. It was like a diner, and oh, the drama was high, man. It was high. And so, yeah, I'll always think of that. And here we are in 2025, still doing it. It's crazy. Um,
Unbelievable.
Chad gave out a couple of quick shout outs. I'll mention one more that I just noticed a couple minutes ago, like since we've started the pod. Um, and that's the McGregor
I
Bulldogs
was going to bring them up. You stole it. I was going to
getting
bring
into
them
the
up.
playoffs. Good
Not
for
only that,
Coach.
they are the 3 seed now,
Good for
coming out
Coach
of district.
White. Good for the Bulldogs. They're 2-8.
Yeah,
It's been a hard year, but and you can if you want to sit back and go 2-8 teams shouldn't make the playoffs and da 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 da. We got too many teams. That's a different argument. Like
I agree.
uh, we have the rules that we have, and the kids won the game they needed to win, and they won last night over Troy, which none of us
Hmm.
picked. Uh,
No, right.
and so good for McGregor getting in the playoffs in Coach White's second year there, and yeah, that's I think a
Here's what I'll say.
pretty cool
Here's
story.
what I'll say on that. So, a week after McGregor gave up 480 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns to who is this Brian Grissom of Little River Academy. So they gave up nearly 500 yards and 7 touchdowns to that running back. They were able to here. Let me pull it up here because Jaden. I mean, when I saw that, I was like, "Ooh, Jaden Lucky's going to have a night against the Bulldogs." Well, he still had a good game. 21 carries, 149 yards, and maybe a touchdown or two, but that's a much better defensive performance for the Bulldogs. Coming. I mean, when they lose that shootout against Academy, you could make the argument, man. I mean, they're just not going to stand a chance against Troy, and they got to win, and now they're the 3 seed, and I don't know exactly who they're playing, but hey, they're in the playoffs, so that's a huge deal.
And a couple other real quick shout outs. Look, whatever happens from here on out, um, if you go 10-0 in the regular season, you've done something. And so good
Agreed.
for you, Fairfield. Good for you, Bremond. Good for you, Aquila. We've talked about
Hmm.
all those teams, but yeah, they were able to cap it off and you know go 10 for 10 in the regular season, and that's not easy to do. You're going to play good teams, and those teams are all playing well. I think they can all play for a while.
Agreed. Just a couple others here. Robinson took care of business. I think they locked up the 2 seed. I don't know if Gatesville really, I don't know how Gatesville approached its game, but Connolly got a big win over them, so that was nice to see. For a lot of those kids, last game of the season, and La Vega locked up that outright district championship, so good for them. I think a lot of these teams are building some serious momentum going into the playoffs.
You mentioned Gatesville Conley. Gatesville was winning that game, and so Conley I think had to come back. So yeah, good win for the
Well,
Cadets.
well, Connolly ended up winning 53-14, but I mean,
Wow. Okay.
in fact, Bryce, I think actually Connolly was up big at one point. I think they were up maybe 28-0 early in that game. I mean, again, I'm not sure how the Hornets approached it, but That's how
Okay.
I when
I
I was keeping up
all
with
right.
the score.
Maybe I was
That's what I had seen.
thinking of a different score, but all right,
Yeah.
we'll break down all the playoff games, not
Yep.
all of them, but we'll break it down a lot of them next week, and that's always fun when we get to the playoffs. This is when it matters. So good stuff. All right, see you later. Have a good
See you guys.
Saturday.
Yep.